Well, you thought this was a normal trip to the store, but I have created a topic of conversation. Community college and also bigger kid college. What do they call that? Undergrad? Undergrad. Since we've gone through that, oh dear. I figure at this point we're practically doctors on the subject. The discussion topic for today will be group projects.
Group projects. I've had such a wide range of experiences with group projects that it's tough for me to really have a one word answer to it.
What's your gut feeling though?
Most of the time, negative. Most of the time, do not prefer group projects. Because oftentimes it's too easy, and I've been on both ends of the spectrum with group projects, of either one being the one I guess heading up the project, spearheading the project, and taking on the bulk of the work, and so you end up putting way more time than everyone else, but you all get the same grade most of the time. Yep. One thing that bothers me is when the professors say, "Oh, but don't worry, the amount of work you put into it'll affect your grade." And then by the end of the project, you're like, okay, I got to leave a negative review for my teammates. And then you find out they got like the exact same grade you did. All they did was get maybe like one little comment on your paper that said, we would ask you to work harder. But anyways.
It's very interesting that you would say that, because that's somewhat covered in the notes I have here.
Really?
Yeah. It's almost like we went to the same college or something.
Almost.
Yeah, go.
Well, I was going to say then I also know that I've been on the opposite end, where I get into a group and I am not the head person, the spearhead of the group, and someone really takes over, and they're the kind of master of the topic or the project, and they end up doing most of the work.
Did you fall into that other category because you saw that they were more motivated than you were, so you just gave up? Or is it because they knew the topic better and you thought it'd be better for them to do it?
They were maybe a little more enthusiastic.
Okay.
From the get-go, I think it takes, when a group project is assigned with group members, I would say it takes about probably a solid 2.5, 3 minutes for all the team members, so if there's a group of 4 or 5, for everyone to realize how the hierarchy is going to go. Okay. Based on who communicates.
What would you describe this hierarchy? Like, how many levels are in this hierarchy?
There's usually 3 levels, which seems pretty obvious.
Interesting.
There's the go-getter, organized, diligent person who's task-oriented.
I named this person the ringleader.
The ringleader.
Yeah. Here's my description of the ringleader. Cares about his or her grade the most, completes 90% of the project, and is the engine that keeps the train moving, the frosting that holds the gingerbread house together, etc.
Yep. Yeah. If it wasn't for the ringleader, the group really would.
And would you say
get a horrible grade?
Would majority of it be because of the grades? Is what pushes that person. Unless it's a class that's specific to like what they think they want to do with their career, then I could see them maybe, but most of the time it's not that. Is the reason. Okay, so it sounds like you covered actually most of the topics I'm going to cover. It's just that I just put some names to it, but it sounds like everything broken up. So I said there were 3 people or groups per project.
Yeah. Do you want to know my other two? The other 2
levels? Oh yeah,
go for it. So there's the ringleader, as you describe it, the person. And I guess that could be more than one individual. Typically, it's only one individual.
Usually that one, it's like a pyramid. There's one on top. Yeah. And then the lower levels.
Then there's like the people who can contribute. They will do what's asked of them. They really will. They'll step up, and there'll be certain instances where they'll really step up and take over maybe a portion of it. Coming over. Anyways, but they're pretty dependable. Yeah. They're not going to head it up, and they'll probably wait to be told what to do. But once they're told what to do, they'll get their part done and do probably a B+, A- type of work. Yep. But yeah, there's kind of that level, and that could be, again, maybe 1 or 2 individuals depending on the size of the group. Okay. And then there's the bottom third, which I'll admit, my last semester of school, really my last year, but specifically my last semester.
Don't tell me you were this person.
I did take up this mantle.
This is terrible.
It wasn't often through my time in college.
Well, you're lucky you had some good group members, because I've
in my last semester,
rarely been fortunate with that.
Where you realize, and again, think about this all happening within the first 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, you get a feel immediately.
You got the feel immediately of how people are communicating, who was immediately jumping on and organizing the Google Drive group, inviting people, asking for phone numbers and emails.
Who's looking at the syllabus first?
Who's looking at the syllabus and finding out due dates, right?
Mine will be to the right if you want to go to yours first.
Yeah, we can go to mine first. Okay. And yeah, so you realize, wow, everyone else has got this. There's only so much work to do. So in fact, I don't think I have to do anything. Yeah. And I don't say anything, you do your bare minimum. You find out what the bare minimum is, whether you show up to things or just respond on text every once in a while. Sometimes you don't even do that.
Yeah.
I feel like I wasn't that bad this last semester of school.
The second person you described, I saw them as the majority of the group. This majority of the people in the group, depending on the size, falls into the middle, what I call the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And I describe the middle of the pack as show some effort and concern, but other things in life are definitely more important. And they take priority.
Yes.
Will follow through when necessary, but requires a lot of hand-holding and pushing.
Yes.
And it's clear, like when you say, like, "Hey, can we get together for a meeting?" And it's always like, "Well, I got a concert to go to. Oh, I've got this again. This again." This is my night that I watched my TV show, and it's kind of like,
that's the second. You're saying the second.
That's the middle of the group.
Right.
Yeah, it's like you're kind of like, what? But isn't this a priority? Well, it's not really, because the grade's not that big a deal to them.
Right.
And then finally, the last one you described, which is, I usually see this is like the really small percentile. Like there's usually like one or two people depending on the size of the group. Right. Very few fall into this category, although there usually is at least one, and that's called the caboose.
Yep.
And they are not sure how he or she got this far in life, contributes not very much, rarely there, generally other circumstances, blames other circumstances for not being available.
Yep.
But when he or she is present, the productivity actually decreases because most of the time is spent catching them up on all that has changed since they were last at the group meeting.
Yep.
So like half the time they're like, "What are we here for again?" And then you're having to like tell them the last month of what's changed.
Yep.
And then they try to pretend like they're showing interest, but you're like we're not falling for this joke.
Yep.
So that's what. But it's very it's not like that's usually not the majority of the group. The majority is the middle of the pack.
No.
The top. The ringleader is usually one person, and then the bottom there's usually like one, maybe two.
Well, it's like the 80-20 or whatever, where 20% of the people do 80% of the work, and in fact, in this case, probably 10% of the people do 80%, or 90% of the work, or whatever. But that's definitely how I'd say the
split usually.
The split
is
for
usually
group projects.
Yeah. Like if you find two ringleaders, that can actually almost be kind of almost detrimental if you have two people who are clashing, kind of hitting heads, because you almost need to have somebody who really just takes it and pushes in a direction.
Right.
But if you have two people who are dominant and both motivated, then you can run into the fact that they're like not agreeing with each other.
I think with any ship, I mean, it's like if there's too many cooks in the kitchen or too many captains directing where the ship can go. There needs to be a clear plan of attack if you're going to be successful. So sometimes there does need to be
just a one.
Yeah, so that's how I would say.
Like, what's nice is when you can have the ringleader, but then you can have the middle of the pack being better than the typical middle of the pack, which is like they're really motivated themselves.
Yeah,
which is very rare.
Well, I would say that's how my last group project went for my last semester. There was one person that was for sure the head, and then there was like that middle of the pack that they would get in there and do an awesome job.
Were you then the actual caboose, or no? You weren't that bad.
No, I wasn't really.
You were like
I showed some of the characteristics, but when I was asked to do my small portion, I did it to the best of my ability and all that.
Let's well, we're at your destination. Let's take a quick stop and we'll pick up from there because there is more to be talked about here. Was this successful? Successful. What'd you get?
Calculator, surge protector, power.
I thought we had one of those.
No, but I always want another one.
Phone car mount. The conclusion. Praise/criticism is split almost entirely equally when the grading process takes place. Well, in other words, when the grade comes out, any good or bad comments are split between the group. It's not like there's any type of like, you all get lumped in together.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Individual assessments are available, so group members can grade each other. However, these are not in any way used to determine grades.
Right.
they only allow the ringleader to vent about how he or she has felt abandoned during the whole semester / quarter. I honestly have a conspiracy theory that teachers, at least at the college level, like when they get together in meetings, they always laugh about group projects because I think they even know, and they're like, here, we'll give out these assessments. They must just just laugh because like when they get comments back from the kids, they're like, they know. I mean, I've never seen it change a grade before, ever.
I've never seen.
I mean, I've been in grades before, and I've caught wind of group members, and like sounds like the guy who did nothing still got the same grade as everyone else. And I'm like, so either the teacher is not doing his or her job, or maybe it's just a big old joke just to make you feel better, but it's really not doing anything.
Although I've always thought it's kind of the real world, though. So if a boss sets up a team of people to work on something, all they care about is it gets done.
But if you're in work, though, eventually, if you slack enough, it'll be the next one. Oh. If you slack enough, like you eventually can get fired. Well, all right, you got to go through Safeway though. Okay, so that's one. Let's see, where is this? Oh yeah, ringleader walks away exhausted, having done the work of 5 students. It could be more. It could be like 10 students plus 2, like the Grinch when he had the heart of 10 men plus 2. Right. The ringleader did the work of 10 students plus 2. Yeah. Is kind of how I see it, generally speaking. Yep. It's nicer he or her has a group member who is kind of like maybe a Robin to his or her Batman. Right. But the middle of the pack ends up feeling somewhat guilty because they are aware the ringleader carried the team. However, they do feel some accomplishment because they know that they did, something. Yep. So I guess there's that. Yep. And then lastly, the caboose has no idea of what has taken place the whole semester / quarter, and still has no idea the names of his or her fellow group members. No. He or she shows up and is like, quick, let me write my name on the final paper. Yeah. I guess it's taught me lessons of how to like get past obstacles and like how to make it happen even if it doesn't feel like it's going anywhere. Right. So it's been a good even though maybe the things we did learn in the class weren't helpful, but what I learned from just like the group project itself was helpful. Right. I feel like it kind of teaches almost like there's not a self accountability, like so the people at the bottom can benefit and get good grades and can just kind of sneak by. All right. Well, overall, I think we're about wrapped up with this discussion. Any last closing thoughts? No. No. Not really. Do you miss school? Do I miss school? Absolutely not. If you have any thoughts in terms of group projects or your experiences with them, if you disagree with the hierarchy or your how the ranking system works. Maybe you've had a totally different experience. Maybe you've actually. I would be curious to know if anyone has actually ever had the perfect group project. I've heard that they've happened, and I've had some similar. Yeah, I've had some good ones. But I've definitely had my share of frustrating ones also. Right. So, but share your thoughts. Yep. And we'll be looking forward to seeing them. Thanks, guys. Yeah, and all that jazz.